evening, everyone, and welcome to Technically Speaking, Episode 6. We are so delighted that you have joined us, decided to tune in. Maybe you're on the drive home from work and you're just listening to us, but this is a radio/TV style. We call it radio with visual enhancement, and this is all about being very nerdy and geeky. Technical media in the church, that's our niche, our specialty. We know that you guys are very passionate about what you do, and we love it. I am John Cookman, your host for tonight, and that is James Lex, your producer.
And we are broadcasting tonight live from the broadcast studio in the Hagee Communications Center on the campus of Southwestern Assemblies of God University. We're just south of Dallas, Texas. And tonight's episode is brought to you by the Digital Media Arts program at Southwestern Assemblies of God University. You can find out more about learning cameras, light, audio through the Digital Media Arts program. Visit sagu.edu or 888-YES-SAGU.
Thank you, James. And it is such a privilege to be a part of a community that has a mission like this to give the gospel away to the whole world. The whole gospel to the whole world is the mission of SAGU. And to be a part of that and have these fantastic facilities available to us to do a show like this is just incredible. It's a dream come true. And like I said earlier, thank you so much for tuning in and listening. You're a vital part of the community that's being built. It's a kingdom community, the kingdom of God, but he's utilizing the gifts and talents that he's placed within us in the church, hopefully, as technical media technicians, I guess you would say. But also, speaking of media technicians, there's a large group. I think it's the largest media tech group on Facebook, almost 29,000 strong. CSMT, Church Sound and Media Techs. They are having a conference in just a couple of weeks. You see there on the screen, June 9th and 10th of this year, just a couple of weeks away. They will be having a conference for good networking, to come in, learn, have some seminars on specific technical medias such as sound, lighting, graphics. You'll learn a lot, but more than that, you're going to be able to grow and network and build your circle of influence of guys that are sharing the same passion that you're sharing and doing it for the same reason. And that is so important. I think the registration is only $25. And if you plan on paying at the door, you need to message David Jordan. So if you'll go to the Facebook CSMT forum and message just an administrator, it'll be David probably, and just let them know that, hey, I can't pay online, but I'm going to pay you there at the door. I believe he said it was $25 for those 2 days. Not each day, but for both days.
And that's totally worth it just for the networking alone.
Absolutely.
Just to network with other church media professionals.
Yeah, and we've talked to several of the guys that went last year. This is the second annual, and they raved about it. They thought it was so beneficial. So maybe it'll be beneficial to you. If you're in the Florida area, or maybe you're planning a trip to Disney World and you want to take a day or two, meet up with them, because it's in Kissimmee, exactly where the grounds of Disney World is located. It'd be an easy trip. Check in on those guys at CSM TV, June 9th and 10th, just a couple of weeks away. Well, we're really excited about today's show, and it seems like the way we've shaped the thematic future of the show, it just gets more and more exciting. Last week, we had Stefan Savard from AVE up in Minnesota, and he's an expert in all integration. He's been doing it for so long, but we talked specifically about wireless technology and how to use it. What were the laws? What were the pitfalls that you could fall into? He gave some great advice if you are thinking about acquiring wireless technology in your church. You need to watch that episode on VOD. But this week, I'm super excited because I got a great friend, and he is the creative pastor at the Oaks Fellowship in Red Oak, Texas. And you've probably seen him, if you've been paying attention to the Digital Media Labs, you've seen him on the episode we did last year, How to Say No to Your Pastor. It was so good. Organizational structure, leadership within technical media, how to lead your team. He brought some incredible substance, advice, tips to the table, and you need to go back and watch that. I would suggest go back and have the awkward conversation about the title of that episode, How to Say No to Your Pastor, but say, wait, you need to just watch it, because Kelvin has a pastor's heart, and this is not an in vain, oh, you should undermine the authority. This is an appropriate action of how to be on the same page, how to actually follow the leadership of your pastor and move forward in giving your pastor correct advice or guidance from a technical media side. So that was great information. Run back into the archives. Be sure to view that. But for those that do not know Kelvin, I'm going to just read a bio. Kelvin Coe gets to do what he loves as the creative media pastor for the Oaks Fellowship here in Red Oak, Texas. He's been involved in various aspects of creative media, in live stage production, TV, radio, marketing, donor development, web strategies, social media, and all the like of since 1987. That's a pretty long time. Kelvin's been in the game a good while now. Even though he looks like he's 21, he's not. He's probably 80. And I see Kelvin. You guys don't see Kelvin yet, but he found a sweet spot for his passion in 1997, and that's when he started channeling his mix of creative and organizational leadership strengths into sharing of the gospel through the local church. So at that point, and we'll let him tell you a little more about that. But guys, if you could put Kelvin up on the screen, and let's get down to business with Mr. Coe. Kelvin, it's so good to have you. Thank you for taking time to be with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you guys for what you do. Congratulations. Episode number 6.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a lot more people like you who are passionate about what we get to do for the Lord out there serving the tribe.
Thank you, man. Well, first of all, let's just get to know you a little bit. We've already had someone tweet in and say, you've got to ask Kelvin this. I think it came from Judy Kim. Do you know Judy Kim? She says, ask Kelvin if he knows how to use chopsticks.
Oh, gosh. Sorry, I don't. Man, why would that come up?
I don't know.
It's an inside joke at home. My parents tried to teach me how to use the chopsticks. One of our favorite stories, in fact, is I went to Hong Kong, traveled to Hong Kong with my Canadian pastor. Unfortunately, over meals, he's the one who's able to use the chopstick, and I struggled. I really struggled. In fact, I traveled with him to Hong Kong with fork and knives in my pocket.
That's
I'm
great,
not representing my ethnicity very well. I cannot use the chopstick.
Is it true that you have established your own recipe and are about to start a new brand of wasabi sauce?
No, that is not true.
Well, we need to fact check this, James. You got to do a better job. What else did you hear about? What are some of the deep, dark secrets of Kelvin Coe?
Boy.
He apparently speaks many languages and not just the 5 love languages.
I wouldn't call that a dark secret.
But he speaks 4 different languages, and
yes, that is true.
And is it true you were a DJ?
Yes.
A radio DJ or a more modern understanding?
Nowadays, when you say DJ, everybody's thinking I'm a rapper. I have a DJ handle.
Yeah.
No, like you said earlier, I've been around a long time. I've been doing this since 1986, 87, and one of the things I dabbled into was DJ, and basically I spun discs, vinyl records.
Wow.
And I can mix live.
You are old.
I don't do the whole rapping and announcing thing. Not that type of DJ. I was literally a disc jockey.
Wow.
Somebody who spun discs,
Wow.
and that's helped me tremendously with editing.
Yeah.
I see video editors that struggle when it comes to laying down the soundtrack, and how to. So that's helped me tremendously. But yes, that is true. That is not a rumor.
That's awesome. Well, we got one right. Well, actually, we got two of the three right, I believe. So he
Yep.
doesn't know how to
Four
use
languages,
chopsticks.
That's true as well.
And
So 3 out
shame
of
on all of you for stereotyping and profiling. I'm just
I
kidding.
take that as a compliment.
All right, Kelvin.
All right.
Well, let's just dig in here. And our topic today is using technology to market your church. You're one of the foremost experts out there as a creative pastor. This is really a big piece of the pie for what you have to do day in and day out is looking out for the marketing welfare of your organization, which is the Oaks Fellowship. And let's just start by analyzing or getting into what is your marketing philosophy. I say, what is your marketing philosophy for Discovery? I see the church and when we talk about marketing in two batches here. You would say buckets, I guess. 2 buckets. There are the people who don't know who you are, and then there are the people that do know who you are, that are a part of your congregation, or maybe loosely have come with a friend once or twice, but you still have some loose attachment to them. Maybe there are 2 totally different marketing philosophies there, or maybe you use the same. But let's start by expressing your marketing philosophy.
Yeah, we have 2 types of audiences, right? Those who attend our church, and then of course, we have to promote to them all of the different opportunities, ministries, events that we have going on, and then we have the other type of audience, those who we're trying to reach, right? Those who don't know our church. Our philosophy for promoting the church is actually aligned into basically one very, very practical sense. So we have decided, right? We've made a decision as an organization from the top down that our emphasis is 99 to 1, right? So there's the 99 that represents those who are in our church. And then there's the 1. That is coming based off of the parable, right? Of about the sheep, right?
Got you.
He left the 99 and went after the 1,
Okay.
right? So we've decided as a church that from the top down, our communication priorities is 70-30. 70% of our communication marketing is focused on going after the 1.
Wow.
And 30% is for the 99, those who are already, coming to our church, those who already say, this is my home church, right? So some may argue that, oh boy, oh my gosh, well, that means we're not taking care of the people, right? That means we're not taking care of. I love my favorite way to explain that is how my senior pastor puts it this way, and I can completely relate. He said, when he became a Christian, he tried and worked really hard to memorize scripture and learn the Bible and all of that.
Right.
Ultimately, what really got him motivated to grow spiritually, to grow closer to the Lord, is when he started to go after someone who doesn't know the Lord.
Okay.
Right? When you start to engage someone who doesn't come to your church, you need to know what you're talking about.
Right.
You need to get good. You need to get better at that. So by moving the congregation towards the Great Commission, reach the lost, evangelism, that's ultimately God's heart. That is we found that is the most powerful motivator for people to want to grow. When it's not about yourself, when it's about your neighbor, when it's about that family that you see every week at soccer practice.
Yeah.
And God's put that burden in your heart, and then we go after that. And then in very practical terms, I've been blessed with the opportunity to work in 3 mega churches and have worked with a lot of brilliant church experts and consultants. They say the number one most effective marketing tool for the church really is friend to friend. It's friend to friend. So by helping them feel confident that we are friendly to the one,
Right.
right? Man, that just tees them up to invite their friends. And when they come, it's not like, what are you guys talking about? All these churchy terms like Shekinah glory or the blood of the Lamb. No, we're intentional about our language to be friendly for that one person. And we went further than that. We studied the demographic of our church. We looked at the data of who our visitors are, right, of our community, of our demographics. We've defined who that one is.
Okay.
It is, for our community, it's the 32-year-old de-churched couple, right? And we have a profile. We know that they are busy. They are consumed with their children's activities. They are cash poor. Right? They're kind of white collar in terms of economics, at white collar, but blue collar mindset.
Okay.
So we know who they are. So when we make decisions about videos, about series, about hosting, about graphics, about social media, we have that person in mind. So that is our marketing philosophy of discovery.
Wow. That's deep, man. There's so many things I think I could dive into on that. But I'm gonna stick to the script for now, and then maybe we can revisit some things. Let's get into a very practical mindset. Churches tend to be on the backside of technology rather than the cutting edge. You're fortunate to be, like you said, have worked with multiple mega churches, but you're at a mega church, and budget has a lot to do with it. So if we're just speaking candidly, we know that money plays a role, but sometimes old technology is just the best technology to use. So we're going to go through a few, and we want to pick your brain. Are you using these? If you are, how do you use these? So email marketing. Is email still a thing? Is there a room? I know we use email every day as a business sense and communication, but do we communicate still? Back 10 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, it was really hot to develop email drip campaigns and drip your whatever event list, what's coming next, please come see us. That was the hottest thing. Where do you guys stand on email marketing?
All right. I'll start off with the philosophy that I just outlined, right?
Okay.
The 99, I have the 1. Do we still do email marketing? Yes, we do, John. Yes, we do. One of my anchor philosophies too is it's all about relationship. It's not about the cool or the tech it's about relationship.
Okay.
So let's say that with regards to email, that's, in my opinion, that's for the 99. With regards to our philosophy, that's for the 99. How did I get someone's email address? Because they gave it to me. That implies that I'm with you, right? That implies that I want to hear from you. It's like, John, you and I would exchange phone numbers, email addresses, because say, yeah, go ahead, contact me. I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So we still use that. And, we're learning that, man, one of our most recent challenges actually is to use it less. Okay. Because nowadays we are so inundated with spam and so much white noise. And all right, it is so embarrassing for me to confess this, but a few months ago, I was so guilty of something that I tell everybody to not do. If you come to the Oaks and you're a parent and you serve and you're in a small group, I really am so embarrassed to admit this. We figured you probably receive about 8 to 10 emails from us a week.
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So we've been on a campaign to like, how do we consolidate and minimize it so that we minimize the noise? So not to answer your question, yes, we still use it. Sadly, because it's so easy, we abuse it and overuse it. And so, for example, our weekly email blast, there used to be two on Mondays
Mm-hmm.
to them, hey, here's the link to yesterday's message. And then Thursday, here are all of the different events that are going on. We decided we're going to combine that into one, and that just goes out on Tuesday. We're finding actually that people, less is more. People are opening them and clicking through more than when we had two, and we're trying to figure out how do we remove the noise of the other one. So
Sure.
I think we're going to try our best to minimize it down to 2 or 3 a week, but you can't. But yes, we still use it, but in my opinion it is about the 99. It's for those who already said that they're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, email can be used, for to reach the one, using our philosophy by buying a list
Okay.
and then spamming people like crazy.
Yeah.
I personally do not like that, do not agree with that. Remember earlier I said friend to friend is number one, right?
I got you.
Far below friend to friend is the traditional advertising, which in my opinion, email blasting is kind of part of traditional, opt-in audience that works. Those who never opted in to us and we're just going to blast them,
Right.
I fall under the category of delete, ignore, because they're annoying. And I don't want to be part of that. That's our philosophy on that.
Got you. Again, man, it just opens up a can of questions for me. So I'm gonna go off script here for just a second. Print media.
Yeah.
Are you guys still using? I guess that is the most archaic in our view now, as far as mail outs and advertising of what you're going to do. Is there still print media that you're using?
I do not.
Okay. And I don't think very many people do. I do see a little bit, but not too much out there. What is that the case with you?
Strategically. Again, talking about relationship, we're a church, which means we are part of a local community.
Mm-hmm.
I built relationships with local magazines and local newspapers, right? And what we do is we tee them up with stories.
Yeah.
So instead of the ad, one time I actually took out an ad, and instead of making it look like an ad, I literally designed it like an article.
Right. Okay.
So when you look at it, it looks like an article. It basically, I featured a couple who's a volunteer and basically showed off that, oh my gosh, they love children so much and they love doing that every week, and then invited people to come because we have people like this couple who absolutely loves their children. But yes, so we're very intentional about telling stories, right? About telling stories in the community. Hey, we just recently, did a foster family training thing, and 12 families just became foster parents. And then we'd write a press release and send it to our friends in the local newspaper and stuff. That's how we use print media mostly, but not to advertise. No,
right.
We found that really doesn't work.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I would think that's a whole different concept of marketing to create your brand, and you guys are really focused on marketing to create a relationship, and you're not really trying to create the Oaks as a brand, but really wanting people to come because there has been a installment or an initiation based on a relationship.
Yes.
And that's fantastic. At least in my opinion, I love that kind of approach. Now, I'm gonna stay off script real quick. In the approach of I tell you what, I know that's going to come down. I'm going to be able to ask this question in about 3 more questions. So I'm going to save that one so we can kind of stay on time. My biggest obstacle in doing a live show like this is to stay within the time limit. But let's go to text. So we talked about email. Are you guys using text messaging as a tool that you would like email, or is that take a different place?
Yeah, I connect the text messaging, right, to the same bucket as email marketing, right? The last thing I want is to buy cell phone numbers and then start blasting with people. It feels like an intrusion.
Yeah.
That's even worse than knocking on your door while you're having dinner, because that's so personal. My phone, that is so personal.
Right.
So that again for me is part of the marketing to the 99.
Right.
It's really more about logistics. It's about keeping you informed, because you're like, we use the text as a communication tool
Mm-hmm.
for volunteer teams,
Mm-hmm.
right? For those in small groups. It's for very specific groups of people who say, you know what, I'm part of this. I really need to know that we're meeting at this time, or really need to know that it was canceled due to rain,
Right.
and things like that. Plus, we need to be very mindful. Text marketing is very heavily regulated,
Oh, wow.
right? There are a lot of federal laws about that. Email marketing, not so much.
We were talking about how to bring exposure to your organization, to your church, and there's no doubt that social media is pervasive and maybe the number one place to be when you think of electronically, at least, in the internet. Should every church look to gain exposure on the social media platforms?
Yes, definitely. I think we already know it's not a trend. It's not going away. I mean, billions are on it, right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
not a question is somebody on social media? It's how many and which ones is every person, on. But what the church needs to be mindful about is to not use that just as a bullhorn, right? Social media, would you agree, John? It's where people are doing life. That's really become a space where people are doing life.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
think of it as in some ways, think of it as like it's kind of like taking out the trash.
Mm.
Hey, I take out the trash. You took out the trash, and that's what. Oh, dude, what's going on? What are you doing? Hey,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
And then, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, the soccer game. Well, tell me, how was the soccer game?
Right.
And all that. Again, it goes back to it's really all about relationship, and what a powerful, powerful tool to leverage people to invite people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's easy. It is a very easy way, and social media has something very unique that's available to churches in terms of leveraging that invite culture. The church can participate in the conversation. So this is what I would recommend that churches use as a formula, right? I call it like 30, 30, 30, 10, making up 100%,
Mm-hmm.
right? 30% for the bullhorn to
Okay.
tell people what this event is coming up, Easter's coming up, the promotional side of it,
Right.
right?
Right.
The second 30% should be about listening.
Hmm.
Should be about listening. Hey, let's look at what's going on. It's
Everybody's
about
saying.
commenting,
Okay.
right? It's about liking. It's about participating. It's about them. It's making it about them.
Okay.
It's making it. So first, just listen. Like and participate in the conversation, and then the third 30% is that we need to respond, making it about them. It's not always just about us. That is a great place to pastor people, not just tell them about our events. That's where people tend to say, I am homesick today. Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Right.
I'm praying for you. Let me pray for you.
Right.
Oh, that's not an opportunity to promote your event,
Right.
right? You're a friend. Basically, this is an extension. Imagine now having the ability to extend that pastoral relationship,
Uh-huh.
and then the last 10% is participate in the social media trend, meme with people,
Mm-hmm.
emoticon with people.
Right.
You don't have to cross lines that are immoral, but there are a lot of fun things. You can participate in the, what do you call that? The throwback Thursday.
Right. Right. Right.
Those things to like, oh man, look at how relatable they are.
Right.
They're doing life with us. They're participating. It
Right.
is a great platform for conversation. So yes, please, I
So
implore the church,
do you
participate in the
okay,
social
I get
conversation.
that. I get that. Are you suggesting that your participation just comes from as an individual? You're a pastor at a church. You're just doing that as an individual, or are you doing it as an organization? Like the Oaks Fellowship is just interacting life with people that are following them.
Man, absolutely brilliant question. Both.
Okay.
Right? Both. Um, Granted, personalities are different. My personal social media account is mine. That's personal.
Okay.
At the Oaks, because of our culture, because of our heart,
Mm-hmm.
even though as far as Pastor Scott is concerned, our senior pastor,
Yeah.
hey, it's completely optional. But he models it. So as an institution, my department, we have an entire social media team,
All right.
right? Who runs our social media accounts. You'll get likes and comments and retweets from the Oaks, right? Especially for people of our church. But as pastors, our student pastor, our kids pastor, me, our senior pastor, our wives, are involved in the social media conversation in a pastoral relational tone.
Mm-hmm.
They're our friends.
Yeah.
Right? They're our friends. They'll see that we are proud of our church. So we'll promote events and stuff too. But mostly it's about doing life with them. Hey, congratulations on your wedding. Happy birthday. Hey, I'm sorry. Are you feeling better? It's more about that. So yeah, definitely it's both. We're actually to the point where Pastor Scott, the church is large and all that. And we've done, I believe, because we've done such a good job, he's trusted us and turned over the key to his personal, social media account for us to post in his behalf, like people's, comments and retweet and stuff in his behalf, on his behalf.
Got it.
So to answer your question, definitely both. Again, this is no longer just a promo tool.
Right.
This is about relational ministry.
Right.
People are truly, truly. That's why I started off. This is more than a trend now.
What
It's
a concept.
really
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the more you talk about it, the more it's massaging in, and we're beginning to really understand the framework that you're building for how you get the word out about the Oaks Fellowship, and it's a I dare I say it's kind of a paradigm shift, really, and I on a personal level I like it.
By the way, John,
yeah.
I recently learned something too that I'm still learning this mind shift.
Okay.
Right? It used to be I have a social. Well, I'm starting to make the shift towards this. I've discovered that the social media platform has normalized where there used to be, oh, there's this, there's that, the ones that couldn't make it have died.
Yeah.
And, there's the big ones that stayed: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, verdict still out. We're not sure.
Yeah.
But the approach used to be you have a social media person, and you basically working all these social media accounts with the same rules. It's posting the same content and you do kind of the same things. It's not like that anymore. Facebook has its own culture. It has its own audience and crowd. There are different rules of engagement. There are different value systems in that. Instagram, very different. So nowadays, the experts are starting to shift towards having specialists who, when I'm in Instagram, these are the rules of engagement. This is what works. This is how people behave. When I'm on Facebook, this is what works. This is how you do. The separation is not, because it has become such a culture-centric,
Yeah,
a
right.
community now,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Not just, hey, it's just free for all, and it's one rule. The rules are becoming more specialized and specific.
Wow, man. It's just kind of sinking in with me and what you're saying, and I'm processing it, and then plus I'm trying to do the show, and man, that's fantastic. A lot of meat there to chew on and to really think about. Have you written any blogs about this, or have you put this into writing?
This particular one, no. This is literally, I just read about this a couple of weeks ago.
Well, not
I
not just that, not that
Oh,
specific, but just in general,
yes.
the approach to
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've several. A few of them are on SundayMag.tv.
okay.
I've written some, some tips or best practices that we've learned also on a website called Church Marketing Sucks.
Nice.
It's put together by Center for Church Communications.
Make James, make sure you put that on the what
I'll
was
put on the show notes.
Yeah,
churchmarketingsucks.com.
churchmarketingsucks.com.
I love that.
And yeah, I contribute to that regularly. Yeah, in fact, I recently, shared with them our social media strategy. Two separate articles. One was about mobilizing our entire staff. I remember we did a count. We literally crawled through everybody's social media account. Realized altogether, with our staff is about 50-ish strong. We have a reach of about 400,000 people, just based on everybody's
Yeah,
followers
yeah.
from across different platforms. And like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, imagine if we were all using social media in
Hmm.
synergy.
Yeah.
So for example, we created something called social.theoaksonline.org. Everybody on staff now knows, oh, I don't know what to post on my social media account about the Oaks. Well, you don't have to worry about it. Just go to social.theoaksonline.org. The graphics are there. The sample texts are there. The photos are there
Wow.
for you to just go and grab. And so it's not, uh, you know, um, somebody who's not very media savvy or
Right.
skilled,
Right.
there's the risk of, oh my gosh, what did you just do to that picture? You distorted it and whatever. And you have quality pictures available to you. By the way, you guys who are watching the show, you're welcome to go check it out. There's nothing serious. It's not password protected. You can go take a look at
We have it,
social.theoaksonline.org and
and we have
see,
it on right now.
we
Just
constantly keep
browsing
it
through.
fresh with upcoming events, graphics, information, so they can use that to
Okay,
promote.
so yeah, they we have it on the program feed right now. So we're scrolling through, and they can kind of see that they see where they can go. That says the
And it
Oaks
opens,
online,
and it goes to a
and then
Dropbox.
it
Looks
goes to
like.
a okay, yeah. But
And
if
then
you
you can
type
just
in social dot
theoaksonline.org.
or
theoaksonline.org,
just that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
got you.
Maybe there's still some stuff from Mother's Day,
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but
I see that.
that's an
Yep. Uh-huh.
example, of hey, anybody on our team can just go and grab, so
Great.
the message is unified. We
Mm-hmm.
can we can maintain quality.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Man, that's a fantastic idea. And I think that's a great tip for organizational leaders, church leaders that are out there watching the show. Or if you're a media technical director, to propose to your organizational lead. This is fantastic. This is a way to create synergy and have everyone saying the same message, that you don't get too far off book. I know
Right.
that you still want to maintain the relevance of a relationship, but
Yes.
now you all have the same tools to pull from, especially if if you have people in your church that are not media savvy. It's there for you. That is fantastic. Let me get back into my script here. Kelvin, I mean, every time I talk to you, it's always just, I wish I had so much time to pull out things, because you
Thank
just
you.
you stimulate my brain. Um, the well, I tell you what, James, we talked about in pre-production some ideas. You had an idea in along this line of, should every church try to gain exposure through social media?
Right.
And you had a real practical, a very physical type analogy. Share that
Right.
analogy.
Now I believe, John, in something called the tall grass theory, and that if you see a house with tall grass out front, that means either no one's inside or there's someone dead inside, and it makes you want to get away. And so what I see on the social media side is churches, they set up a house, if you will, and then they just leave it it dormant, and it could be Facebook,
And I think
Instagram.
you said church. If people, because churches are a lot of times roadside, and lots of people ride by churches.
Right.
And if you haven't mowed the grass, or if you're not taking care of the building,
people are they'll drive on, and in Texas where we're at, there's another church not too far down the road, and so I see this in social media as they're creating accounts and then they don't post to it, they don't interact. People will comment, "Hey, what time is your service?" and there's no one monitoring it, and it makes people feel alone, which is everything you don't want to happen with a church. You want to connect people. So but it seems almost counterintuitive in the sense that why wouldn't you create a Facebook so you can gain exposure and possibly be discovered.
Right.
And I think there is a negative, so I'd like to know, Kelvin, what you think on that. Should every church guaranteed have a Facebook page with the large user base on there?
If I'm understanding you correctly, I'll start with this. How long does it take to set up a Facebook account or a Twitter account? Maybe 30 seconds.
Minutes.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah. So, a pastor who hears about this, or just, has that breakthrough thought for the first time, or there's a brand new social media account called John Social, I don't know. And hey, it probably will take like 30 seconds to set up an account. Be very careful. Please do not just open this account. You were saying earlier, hey, cost is a factor for technology. Fortunately and unfortunately, nowadays, cost really isn't that big of a factor. There's so many things available for free, like all social media. And so it is so easy to just, set up an account. So please do not start anything without these two things: a strategy and an owner.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it cannot be sustained, and if there's no purpose for it, right, then yes, that's what's going to happen. Grass is going to start growing. It's going to look really bad. It looks abandoned. And it is a very poor representation.
Right.
And I'll go ahead and make this appeal. It's not just a poor representation of your church,
but of the kingdom.
It is a poor representation of church, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You don't just do harm to your physical brick and mortar, but potentially to closed-minded individuals, it begins to advance and perpetuate the stereotype that they might have in their closed-mindedness. And James, I do agree. I think my thought is always, and I tell my teams, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yes.
And that's a big philosophy we try to abide by. It's not that you shouldn't, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. And it's exactly what you pointed out with your 2 points.
Right.
You need a strategy and you need an owner. I love that. Articulated perfectly right there. Churches, if you're listening, leaders, don't haphazardly just do it. Don't do it to try to be in the cool club or just because there is pressure that says, well, everybody else is doing it. Because ultimately, if there is not an owner there to take care of that and give good ownership practice to it, it will ultimately do you more harm than it will good. So just be lost without being seen. That's fine. But once you start something, especially in Facebook or in a social world, it's easy to stumble upon. I know that is stumble upon is actually a thing, and you can accidentally find things. But it's so true. It's so easy to be found, and if you're in that public space and you're not taking care of that kingdom that you really should be taking care of, there's a responsibility there that goes with it. When you expose yourself, hopefully that's not a gross term, but if you you're seeking to be discovered and Your visibility is now there. People are going to look at you, and
Right.
then they're going to judge you, whether you want them to or not. There's going to be a perception that's developed. Without a strategy for that, and having a reason that you can tell every person why you are there and why you are doing this, just don't do it until you decide that you have a strategy and you know why you're doing it, because that's really the only reason to do it, is to have some kind of success. And let's just say it's on for the flip side. Kelvin's brought to like a great point in that we use it to really extend our relationship base. But I know there are many churches that they just don't have that many to have a relationship with yet, and they need to promote their services. They need to, that's a starting point. Well, still, you got to have a strategy, and you got to know exactly why you're doing it. Ultimately, you might get to the relationship value. You've got to build people first. We get it.
Yeah.
But don't do it haphazardly.
Right. Hustle will get it going, but strategy will keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. So we encourage you to really think about and draw out, write the vision on paper. I believe that's a proverb, Kelvin, that King Solomon spoke. He says, write the vision down. Don't just get a vision, but write the vision down. Have a successful strategy, or a strategy that will bring success. Dedicate yourself to that, and you will go far. Yeah. And that maybe that was my soapbox for the day, Kelvin. Sorry.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So let's jump over into how you guys broadcast. So you don't have to be a mega church to broadcast, but big churches do, and I've seen a lot of small churches do, and that's great. Still use the principle that applies. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, but if you have a good strategy and you only have 50 people, that's fine. That's fine. Just do it well. But let's talk about how to get your message out there in a broadcast way. What do you guys use? What platforms are you using? Are you discarding any platforms? Are you advancing any platforms?
Broadcast, are you talking about online streaming?
Yeah, sure. Online streaming.
Yeah. All right. So, we are, so technology-wise, for the church geek, we from our switcher, right? The feed, it goes through a black box converter into a computer, and then the software we use is Wirecast.
Okay.
Right.
Fantastic.
Wirecast is the software we use, and then from Wirecast it splits into for now 2 feeds. Right, one goes to the service we use is Lightcast Media.
Lightcast Media.
Okay.
Lightcastmedia.com.
Do you like them?
I love them compared to, I believe it's Ustream.
Okay.
I love them because the service is consistent, and their primary they're a secular business, which means, they have corporate clientele, but their primary focus is for churches. They know that Sunday morning is top priority. Right. They have staff available, to help and support, and they are very inexpensive, exponentially cheaper than anybody out there. Oh, wow. Right? They are, in fact, connected to lifechurch.tv.
Oh, wow.
And we know lifechurch.tv. That's not very publicized, but we know that. I bring that up because we know their heart, right? Okay. Lifechurch.tv,
man, that's
their
fantastic.
mission platform is they give everything away, technology, digital, they just give all of that away. Wow. So from our switcher to Black Box to Wirecast to Lightcast Media, and then we use the church online platform in terms of the skin, because it comes with all of it. It's free. Okay. It comes with all of the features like, the Bible app, the chat room, the prayer chat room, and all of those things for free.
Fantastic. Yeah.
That's available. And then the other feed coming out of Wirecast is to Facebook Live.
Okay. So you have recognized now that Facebook Live is a viable means to distribute video.
Yes, very, very, yes.
Do you see any foreseeable future plan that maybe you get away from Lightcast and just are solely on a social portal for content distribution, video content distribution?
No, not very likely. So we're, I think, 4 months into using Facebook Live.
Okay.
I really thought that attendance on our our regular live stream is going to go down. It hasn't.
Okay.
It has gone down. So our metrics tell us not to mess with it, right?
Okay.
Don't leave it alone. So we're reaching a different audience.
Okay.
Right, we're reaching a different audience with it. And you were saying earlier, about philosophy and about what King Solomon said. Hey, write down your vision, right? So all of our social media, all of our online strategies, the vision, the philosophy that anchors it is everything is our website is the trusted hub for resource and information.
Okay.
So our social media, so Facebook Live in this context is the social media extension of our online campus experience, which is on our website. So the philosophy is you may stumble upon us on Facebook Live, but we will keep pointing you to our website.
Got you. Okay.
That
makes sense.
Our vision for social media.
Yeah.
All of the social media channels point to our website.
So you're still driving people to the www, the great interweb.
Yes, that's still the
right,
philosophy.
And here's the web interface right here.
That is the trusted hub.
Okay.
Chat.
I see, and we're showing on program feed
these different things.
some of this.
Yeah.
Let's see. There we go. Okay, got it. Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that.
And then a giving option is right there, available on the site, which that's nice. And then I think also the bulletin is often on here too.
Right. So, man, that's fantastic. So that gives us some insight to what you're using for your live streaming, and let's talk about how you promote it within. So, do you use hashtags? Do you hashtag your sermons on any of the social portals? Is that a strategy that you use?
We used to, because that was cool. And like you said earlier, hey, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Okay.
We learned that the hard way. That we put in a lot of work into that. It's for the 99.
Whoa.
Now, the hashtags, it's the ones who use the hashtags are the same 50 people who would show up to anything that we would do. Yeah. If we put together a polka party, those same 50 people will show up to that. The type. Every church has those. We've learned, man, it's really busy work. It's insider language. The only time I would really use hashtag is when it's a hashtag that's trending and I have a strategic opportunity to participate in that hashtag conversation.
Right.
Or, kind of like, was it Wendy's? When the Super Bowl blackout happened, they leveraged the hashtag and then jumped into that conversation.
Oh, wow.
Right. And added a layer to that. Yeah. Right. So unless I have a conversation that big or that far reaching to jump into to leverage that, I've learned the hard way. Like literally, we've developed campaigns. We do a lot of busy work. It's for the 99. It doesn't really do much to reach the 1.
Got you. James has a quick question for you.
Yeah, staying on the topic of like popular ideas for marketing, such as hashtags. What do you think about Instagram stories? We got this from our live chat from Jonathan Ward. What do you think about Instagram stories, Snapchat stories? Again, they seem to be gaining some popularity, at least in users, but is that something churches should look to do? And if so, how should they do it?
We're starting to mess around with that. I'll be very honest. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Right. My default, what I would defer to is what John said. And connect it to those 2 rules. Oh, Instagram stories, it's so exciting. So what's the strategy behind it? Mm-hmm. I personally need to understand it better. I've started looking at it, using it. Personally, it annoys me. No,
Okay, well, I think that's a
some
valid
new
point,
stuff
is
Yeah.
that it can be
annoys
annoying
me.
for some.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad, hold that thought, because remember earlier I said there's going to be a chance for me to ask this question towards the
Okay.
end. All right. How much the way you lead, the way you're guiding and thinking strategy, how much do you lean on your personal opinion? And
Mhm.
I don't know that personal opinion is the right way to say that, but the things that really bother you, the pet peeves, do you find them, that is, you, because they're a pet peeve to you, you go ahead and eliminate that before you even bring it to the table? Is that is that the way you develop your market strategy?
Okay, here we go. Let's have some fun.
Okay.
Um, I have to steward the influence I have as a leader very, very carefully.
Sure.
I'm blessed. The culture of our church is very pro technology, very pro creative arts. So more than ever at the Oaks, I have to steward that very carefully. Our marketing philosophy is about the one.
Right.
That one is 32 years old,
Right.
de-churched,
Mm-hmm.
busy,
Yep.
active, cares about their kids. I am 47 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is matters less and less and less and less and less. I really have to reevaluate. I actually had to, we had a retreat a few days ago. I had to ask myself, hang on a second, do I have any 32-year-old friends in that season of life? Yeah, I do. Most of them are in the 99. It's time for me to re-up. I need to have a 32-year-old friend who is de-churched,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah, that's good.
I am blessed that I have experience. So I need to even be more intentional in applying that and then invite. I am the expert in principles and strategy and leadership and marketing. I am not an expert in the mind of the 32-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
I invite our target audience people to speak into our marketing decisions, our creative ideas,
Mm-hmm.
graphic design, our language. So I,
Let me ask you
John,
this.
get older.
Yeah, right. And I totally agree with that. Do you think, and this is going to require a little bit of transparency and judgment, I think, just maybe a smidge of judgmentalism, but we're honest here and we can admit to things like that. But do you think this is some pitfalls that a lot of churches that are maybe struggling or on the startup, that they fail to think this way? And Kelvin, I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat and say, oh, you think about it right and you've got it all perfect, although you're a great thinker, you're a thought leader in our area. But could this be a failure point in a lot of churches because they're not giving up their own opinionated position of where they are in life and reviewing that as though that is where everybody and the way everybody thinks that goes to their church and will go to their church? And if you don't think the way I think, then you don't need to go to our church. Have you found that to be a case scenario in a lot of churches that are not moving forward?
Oh boy. You know what? Yeah, you were right. That is a hard, question. But yeah, yes. I'll put it this way. This is not just about churches, but I'll put it on an individual level.
Okay.
Um, that is what you just described is a very, very effective indicator
Mm-hmm.
if somebody is still growing.
Wow.
You know what I mean,
Yeah.
right? So, as a church leader, we are entrusted with one of the most important messages, one of the most important roles in representing God in loving people. And we need to be constantly growing. Our hearts need to always be open to the Lord for his fresh message for his people, for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I found that is, what you described is a very important indicator to whether this leader is going to continue to grow, is going to continue to stay effective, become more effective in how stubborn, if you will, how rigid they are to their opinions.
Yeah.
Of course, when it
Right.
comes to moral, when it comes to legal, when it comes to theological positions, oh gosh, I hope you're not just constantly flippity floppity.
Mm-hmm.
But with regards to how to reach people, how to reach culture, how to love people, man, if we just stick to our own opinions, and it doesn't mean that as a leader you need to be a pushover. No, I do not relinquish the decision making to other people. I take ownership of that. It's on me.
Mm-hmm.
But the best way to make the most informed decision is by inviting the right voice and the right information so that I can. What I've learned is the decision maker doesn't have to be the smartest person.
Right. Yeah.
It's just my job.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm the smartest. I just have to, it's my role to steward and facilitate everybody's the best knowledge available to make the most informed decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to
A professional.
Kelvin Coe, the creative pastor for the Oaks
Yeah.
Fellowship in Red Oak, Texas, theoaksonline.org. You can find them. They do fantastic work, and it's kingdom work. And they we're not trying to elevate one person over the other. There's a lot of great people that just haven't had a chance. But here's the deal. Listen to me carefully. When you can put yourself in a position to receive from experience of success, you should listen. And that's one of our goals, is to pair ourselves up and build a community of like-minded people, but of learning, having a mentality of learning and taking in from the successes of experienced people, not the success of people who say they have, but you don't have to look very far at Kelvin, his history, at the Oaks, at the things that these guys touch. When we bring them on this show, we've done some research and work. We find out that we want to be a part of what they do. Number one, because they're like-minded. They've got a kingdom mindset. They're like-minded, but they also have proven through experience a successful understanding of where we want to be. And I hope that's your goal. I hope that you don't just look at what you do as a sound guy or a lighting guy, right, or a graphics technician, as that's the end of the road for you. Because, and I wrote a blog on this, that what business are you really in? And we're in a much bigger business. What we do, we're mechanics. We're using tools. And our gifts are tools to elevate the bigger commission, the bigger understanding, and promote that business. And of course, our business is the kingdom of God. It's advancing it and being a part. So it's very important what we do. The investment of being excellent at our craft is very important. But you can't let that don't get the cart before the horse. And the big business idea of what we do is communications. And we're supporting leadership. We're supporting pastors. And these are ideas. Kelvin, you've done a fantastic job today at expressing big thought ideas for why we do what we do. Marketing is it's strategic in nature. And if you don't have a strategy for marketing, let me rephrase it. Marketing is just the approach of saying who you really are and promoting that. And it'll come out ultimately, but you've got to have a strategy. You've got to have an approach. Kelvin, you did a great job at sharing your approach, but I think this approach is proven to be successful, and you would do very well to, we'll have tons of tags in our description on YouTube and in Facebook. If you're following us on those portals, check out the links that we're going to put on there where you can follow Kelvin. Kelvin, do you have a Twitter?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Co.
We put it up. I just don't have it on my mind. What is it?
At Kelvin Co.
At Kelvin Co. Okay. Follow at Kelvin Co. I just guarantee it'll make you better, more excellent at what you do when you model and watch the pros do it very well. And I can speak from experience. I know Kelvin personally. He has an excellence to his approach at everything he does. And he values it. He understands it's a gift, and he's a very good steward of that gift. Guys, it's about that time. I think we need to end it up. Give us one tip. Number 10. Give us a good tip how a church, an organization can be better recognized.
I think we touched on a little bit earlier is get those already in your sphere of influence to post, and that'll generate likes, followers, subscribers, etc. for your brand. Now, Kelvin, you mentioned this in your article on churchmediasucks.com. Is you gave them the opportunity, you gave them the tools to share, and they did. And you said that was one of the greatest ways that you saw it increase in your overall likes. And when you build that, just the likes, it builds the platform that especially, let's just use Facebook for instance. The more likes you have, every time you go live on Facebook Live, every time you post a promotional or hey, how can we pray for you today? You have an opportunity to reach more people, and you don't get that if you don't give them the tools. If your own people don't talk about it, you have to get the discussion going, and discussion leads to engagement. So that I would say the number one thing is give them the tools to share, and in those, your staff, your pastors, they all need to be united around the idea that communication is going to bring growth and on the online side of things, which is where people live. I mean, that's where life happens on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. So
right.
That would be
and also one tip I have is make sure you're registered with Google My Business. Google My Business will register you in the search engine, right, so that when people don't understand this, I don't think, but Google always knows where you are, and because it's relative to an IP, and that IP address is geolocated. So when you do a search, a lot of times it's a search about, it's giving you locations near you. If Google knows that you're in there and they're looking for what church is near me, you'll come up. And right, that's a very practical tip. Make sure you're in that registry at least.
And it's completely free. There's no charge at all to that. Charge. So just get in there and get your address
and if you can post maybe the link to do that, James, that would be very helpful for people. Well, for James Lex, I'm John Cookman, and Kelvin Cove, thank you so much for being our guest today. We have learned a lot. I think there's a lot of takeaways. Guys, you can view this on VOD. At any time. If you can't sleep tonight, just go back and review some of the things that Kelvin has talked about and develop strategy. But next week we've got a big show. It's going to be on the NDI technology that is taking over broadcasting and how you do it. It is going to be incredible. Jimmy Goucher from Maryland is going. He's a big time church tech blog writer, and he and I have been on a venture for promoting NDI technology. It is going to be very, very valuable next week. Please join in at 5:30 p.m. Central Time Thursday for live, or watch it whenever you can. But this is John Cookman for Technically Speaking. God bless you and have a great rest of your day.